Hi, this is Eric Stoller for the Eric Stoller Show and the Man on a Mission series. Today I'm here with a woman on a mission, Michelle Hughes, the podcasting queen, the podcast ageless and timeless. And she is one of the reporters for Top Doctor magazine. Our good friends over at Top Doctor invited us to say, hey, would you have Michelle come in? And we're so lucky that she was in Florida and she's here in studio with her sister. They came all the way to see us. So thank you for coming all the way from California.
Right.
But I know you're here to see your sister.
Well, I'm here for A4M.
And for A4M.
It's a bonus to be able to be with my family.
That's
my
right.
Family lives here.
Oh, I love it.
Almost my whole family.
Now, are you from here originally?
No, I'm from Boston.
Boston. That's right. Your sister was Miss Massachusetts. That's right. We'll talk about that later. My wife used to take care of a woman named Dolly Tomlinson, and she was Miss Texas in 1947.
Oh.
And then she married a guy who invented the chicken plucking machine that plucked the feathers off of chickens. Hilarious.
That's an interesting gig.
Yeah. So anyway, very interesting stuff. Well, welcome to the show. And I know we were talking a little bit off air. You know so many people.
We know a lot of people in common.
Yes.
It's amazing how small the world it can be, right?
It is. And you know, what's interesting about this regenerative space and this biohacking, it's really a small community. I say to people, it's like, there's no big, like in the world of big pharma, there's all these giant companies and, you know, like the aesthetic shows, you get companies like Allergan that I don't write those shows. But the truth is much of the shows, the A4Ms and the AMMGs and the ASCPs and all these societies formed out of people who were all about innovation and not just about drugs. And what's so exciting now, even the New Life Expos from the 70s doing herbal and stuff that you go woo-woo is now part of the whole biohacking. Right. And let's not just say biohacking, because that's really one section.
Exactly.
It's really the science and the longevity.
Right.
And so why don't we start at the top and kind of tell us a little bit about your journey, because I really want to know like your mission, and then we can dig down into all the neat stuff you're doing and like what's changing the world. So people like him and I were talking and saying, how we're living to 120, 150. I mean, geez, that's a lot of years. You got to have a lot of money to live that long, right?
Well, and you also have to be in good health.
That's right.
I mean, who wants to live to 100 if you're living the last 20 years in a nursing home or your health is bad? You don't want that. You want to be healthy. And
that's right.
So the whole point of anti-aging or as longevity space that we're talking about is live longer and better.
And better.
Yeah.
And again, you know, doing the things, just as I showed you my music video.
That's beautiful.
You know, and this year I turned 60.
Good for you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Pounds thinner.
And 100 pounds thinner. And when I was in my 40s, I had a heart attack. And when my daughter was young and my wife was sick, and
that's a wake-up call.
Wake-up call. And so I just, part of my belief is that part of what I do is also just inspire people. You can't really ever, you can't really tell people what to do because they're never going to listen, because I know myself. But if something has to be, you want it bad enough. And so that's what's so amazing about this space, because so many things you can do today to heal yourself and use these hacks. So talk to me about your journey. You came from Massachusetts, and then did you end up in California? Because that was the land of longevity and health?
Well, not at that time. At that time, I wasn't that involved in the space. I mean, I have had a multi-purpose career, but one of the things I did want to say before I forget to say it is one of my favorite mantras is pain to purpose to passion to performance. And
I love it.
Those 4 P's. So
amazing.
You just keep that as your, kind of guideline, pain to purpose. So you have to start, a lot of people in our space have started with something wrong with them.
Correct.
Or something that was a wake-up call, like your 40-year-old heart attack.
That's right.
That's right. It was a wake-up call. So a lot of people have found their pain to purpose through a personal life event. In my case, when I was in my 20s, I was diagnosed with low platelets. And so they told the doctor that I was, very allopathic. And he said, oh, you're probably going to die. And he told me this, he told me on the phone. And so, of course, my mother-in-law.
Some bedside manner, huh?
I mean, it was so bad bedside manner. I mean, so unbelievably insensitive. But at any rate, the good news was he thought I had lupus. I never had lupus, but I had low platelets, and I've lived asymptomatically because of my dedication to wellness. And my doctor said, she's a functional medicine doctor in Beverly Hills. She said, you are a walking miracle, because people with that low a platelet count normally are walking around with bruises and all that. So,
Wow.
so my pain to purpose, like your heart attack, was at age 26. And
Wow.
I'm, much older than that now, but I really and truly have used longevity approaches. And I don't even call it biohacking.
Yeah, sure.
Because I think that's kind of going to become a fad.
I agree with you.
Eventually. I think right now what we're really looking at is the substance of wellness and what that means scientifically. Like we talked about peptides and we talk about stem cells and those kinds of things. But I think biohacking is more of it was David Asprey, you know him, right?
Of course.
He was the one that, adopted that name, and it just caught on.
It just caught on. And everybody, it's amazing. There's Biohack of Miami, Biohack of the World, biohacking.
Right.
But again, I've had the opportunity to enter this space through the science and the research and the medical.
Right. Yeah.
And so when I look at it at the end of the day, you're like, the stem cells, which we're going to get into in a minute, and exosomes, where people really don't kind of know. Like I've sat in a couple of these educational workshops with seniors and going, what's a stem cell? And I'm like working with the foremost experts in the world who have been treating people for almost 20 years.
Yeah.
But you know that, and I know that, but the general public, they don't know that.
Of course not.
Because Big Pharma doesn't want them to know that. But that's a conversation for another day, right?
No, that's true.
But I believe that where we sit right now, there's such a bright light being pushed on this line. Notice all of a sudden peptides. Nobody talked peptides. Now the whole world.
It's the biggest subject. In fact,
everywhere.
One of the podcast guests on my show said at A4M in December, where I don't know if you were there, but I was there in Las Vegas.
Yes.
He said there was so much buzz about peptides. He said it was everywhere. And I said, yeah, every booth you went to, if they didn't do peptides, they were talking about using them. So,
right.
I try to tell everybody that I know and love that, open your eyes and your heart to something that's now probably going to end up being one of the biggest innovations in wellness, in longevity medicine.
100%.
Yeah. And I feel different from being on injecting. I assume you do.
Every day. I mean, it's changed my life, from the weight loss to I have a friend, they're going to the A4M and then she's got to get up early in the morning. I said, you got a bottle of glutathione, take it with you. That's your cheat code. Hey, we came over here. I've been up since 4:30 in the morning. Yeah. No, 4:20. Wow. It said 4:20 on the clocks. I look at and then I did some of my work, and I was at the gym at I think 6 till about 8. Wow. Came back, got ready. Had to go to my dentist.
A lot of this it has to do with the fact that you're taking all these anti-inflammatory shots, because you're reducing your inflammation. Inflammation is the biggest enemy.
100%. And this is what people don't realize, because every time somebody says, you eat the sugar, right?
Yeah.
The thing that we know that's the cause of inflammation is sugar. Now I stopped drinking alcohol. So I battled with alcohol. I had some real bad battles.
Yeah.
And
you stopped drinking?
Yeah, for 2 years now.
Good.
I had a couple of slips, but so now when I sit there, I'm like, as I walked into Walgreens the other night and started buying M&Ms and ice creams and Monsters and Coca-Cola, but I'm going, no, my wife is going to have it. And I'm like, who am I kidding? It was but I had to let it go, because I said, I'm not even going to fight it, because I went right in my relaxed sauna. Yeah. And the next morning I'm in the gym and I purged it all out. Not, but you know what I mean? But the thing is, I'm off on my diet. I know it because I'm stressing, but my thing is this is like, I know in my mind, this is the awareness part. Mm-hmm. Hey, I could easily go over to drink alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
but I'm trying to
I
stay.
mean, if you're doing HBOT and relaxed saunas, that Phil Wilson is a good friend of mine.
Oh yeah,
He
yeah.
was right next to the Oxygen, to the HBOT, your friends. He was right next to them at the show last weekend, 2 weekends ago.
Yeah, they're all sponsors of my event. Phil's sponsoring my event. And I have an event I'm doing in April in Aventura. Then I have another one I do in May. Then I have a big one I do in
We'll
June.
talk about all that.
Yeah, so
Well,
back
good.
to the
Relax
Retta.
Sauna, by the way, before you get.
Oh yeah, sorry.
So relax sauna. I have a far infrared in my house, so I won't be buying one, but I do believe from what Phil explained to me that they are one of the purest. It is one of the purest forms of the sauna, and it's portable.
I use it every day.
My sister could have one in her apartment.
Oh yeah,
in her condo.
Yeah, you want one of those. I'm going to tell you what. I have probably 30 different devices, hyperbaric chambers.
Yeah, I do too.
The relax sauna, one of the best things because you can use it. Like right now, you could get in it for 5 minutes. Let's say your body was a little achy, you're tired, and it'll light you back up.
It's amazing. When you go to these shows,
house.
You're under these fluorescent lights.
Right.
And also there's a lot of people and you're in a lot of stress environment and you're a little bit tired because going around meeting a lot of, you go into that relaxed sauna, you feel like a different person when you get out.
I know. I have it
and
in
do
my
HBOT on top of that. Oh my goodness.
That's right. That's right. In fact,
so you were asking me about retrotide. What was that question I took away from you?
No, so what I was about to say is just as you were encouraging your sister, I have been on and off it because I've been trying, but I now have to use that or trizipatide, but I prefer the Retta.
Yeah.
Because I call it sugar regulation. I'm not really trying to lose weight.
Yeah.
And then now it's reactivating the nutrition in my diet. So when I'm reaching, it's not like, again, this is also maybe the psychology of being overweight, where you like the stresses are there, like, oh my God, I'm going to go to McDonald's, because that's when and this is from my own side of like being overweight, all that. You sometimes just don't care.
When you go to the A4M, if Shape Scale is there, they were there in December, but try to get to know Alex. He's from San Francisco, but they usually get a booth. It's like the next generation of the InBody. So the InBody, as you know, is it teaches your whole body composition, and it's good. And they're always at A4M. But if you can go to the Shape Scale, it's going to be a little bit. They do a 3D, and so you go on a.
Is it the one that spins around? Oh yeah, I haven't been on. No, I actually wanted to buy one of those for our office, but I did the Seika one. And I was pretty good. They did the BMI. I think my BMI off of that was pretty good. It was like.
Well, the point is, if you're on retatrutide, you're doing the better one for sarcopenia. A lot of the other semaglutides do cause sarcopenia, a muscle loss.
Yes.
And
yes, they do.
Retatrutide tends not to be.
Exactly.
That's what I think is probably the biggest advantage of that. Plus, it's a 3 agonist. Retatrutide is triple agonist. So as I was telling you earlier, the glucagon is the 3rd agonist, and the glucagon, you don't even know you're getting this, but it just totally turns off your fat metabolism. So you're basically getting a fat loss without muscle loss.
Wow.
And you're not even knowing it, and you microdose it. Like Dr. Elizabeth Yurth, who's one of my good friends in Boulder. She has the Longevity Institute there. She's an athlete like I am, and she only does on the insulin needle, she does 0.5, like 5 IUs. I'm not sure I always say this correct, but most people are doing like 25, and they're doing it probably 3 or 5 times a week. She does it 3 times a week at 0.5, and she looks fabulous. And she said all it is just it's like icing on the cake.
This is the Retta, you mean?
The Retta.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a lot of people.
You do the full dose that they recommend.
No, I was doing very tiny doses for that.
You've already lost the weight, and you're just doing it for other reasons. But the triple agonist reason is one, and no sarcopenia. That's huge. But you're also taking Semirelin or Tesamorelin, so you're getting the growth hormone along with the.
Yes, and I take testosterone.
Yeah, I do too.
As well.
And most women don't know to take testosterone, by the way.
Let's talk about that because I'm curious to know, because I know I deal with a wife that's dealing with a lot of hormone imbalances.
Yes.
Like she woke up this morning and, screaming at me at 5:50 because I had the coffee and I dirtied her kitchen. There was like one thing out. I'm like, all
Well,
right.
so
But I still brought her breakfast in bed. How about that?
well,
Is that good? Is that a good husband?
That's very
Every
sweet.
day. Every day.
That's very sweet. I hope she appreciates that.
She does for a minute until I dirty the house again.
Well, honestly, you brought up a subject that's one of my favorite topics is hormones, both for men and women. And, most women, when they go to an allopathic physician for a blood work, they never even test your hormones.
Right.
They don't even know that your hormones are your superhighway of your body.
Correct. Yes.
So, I've been going to functional doctors or, alternative medicine since my 20s. They weren't even really around then, but I found,
you found the early adopters.
Drugs. They wanted to take my spleen out. They wanted me to take prednisone and all the stuff that the angels were on my shoulder and said, do not take your spleen out. And then I read later that taking your spleen out doesn't stop low platelets. It's actually a very bad thing to do. So I was just very lucky that I was at age 26, very, very smart enough or intuitive enough to know not to do any invasive surgery. But at any rate, the point I'm making is that the hormones, most women they don't even know it, starts perimenopause in their 40s.
And it's interesting, yeah.
Because perimenopause is so subtle, but it does start to affect your mood, your libido, your body fat. So I tell everybody that is curious is start checking your hormones early, like in your 30s.
Okay.
If you haven't already. And if you're not, and if you are, that's even better. But then by the time you're 50, when you go through menopause or thereabout, now you're ahead of the game because you've already been supplementing with the hormones that have started, like estrogen has started to to regress. And that's probably one of the biggest issues, that and testosterone.
Mm-hmm.
But most women don't realize that if you're taking estrogen replacement therapy, which is HRT, hormone replacement, you need to take progesterone with the estrogen because they are like Mutt and Jeff. They're together. They're sort of like vitamin D3 and K2. You don't ever take D3 by itself. You have to take it with K2 because you know why. The D3 will rob calcium. Put calcium where it doesn't belong, and the K2 makes sure that it goes to the right place.
I see.
So
Amazing. That's
really an important, but back to the hormones, so testosterone. So, my mother said when I came out of the womb, I was very muscular. I've always been her muscular daughter. And so even in my, early teens, I never had to really work out, but I married a man who was a big athlete, and he just convinced me that, start doing those kinds of muscle building exercises. So I learned very young when I was age 14.
Oh, wow.
That's when I met him. So anyway, the point is testosterone builds your muscle and adds to your libido and just overall makes you feel better, along with progesterone and estrogen. Those are the three biggies. And a lot of women go to doctors who never even tell them that. Oh, and the thyroid. The thyroid is probably one of the most underdiagnosed of all of the hormones. And you can go and have blood work and it says, oh, your thyroid's normal. But they don't really test. They test for TSH, which is really a pituitary hormone, not a thyroid hormone. But that's what a lot of these allopathic doctors use to say, oh, your thyroid is normal. But they've never checked your T3, your T4, your reverse T3, your reverse T4, your antibodies. And so many women are walking, I say women, but it could be men, but women have more thyroid issues. They're walking around with low thyroid and they wonder, why are my hands and feet cold? Why am I gaining weight? Why do I feel energetically off? And a lot of them have Hashimoto's, which is, a thyroid autoimmune condition, but they don't even know that.
So what are the symptoms you need to look for somebody in having those issues?
Okay, so if this is your wife, I'm just giving you this little, and I'm not a doctor.
Please, I'm taking notes. Please, I need help. I need help. For all the husbands out there dealing with wives with their hormones, it's a nightmare.
Believe me.
It's so hard, believe me. And it's almost, it should be like, I want to know to help her because she doesn't know what to do.
Well, she needs to go to a hormone, a specialist.
Yes.
That would be number one step. Go to a person.
Go to a specialist.
Yeah, I could
okay,
give
perfect.
her the name of the one but she's in LA, but you do telemedicine. But I could give her the name of Dr. Sashdev, who is in Beverly Hills. She knows hormones, and she really knows how to test for them.
Okay.
So the first thing for your wife is to get your baseline, which is your labs, which means you have to have a doctor who knows what hormones to ask for
Okay.
and to do it thoroughly. But so the basic sex hormones, as you probably know, testosterone, DHEA, which is combined with your adrenals, and oftentimes people have very high cortisol because, like you, they're under a lot of stress.
Yeah.
So DHEA is a big one too, and then pregnenolone, which is like a master hormone. Most doctors don't even know to.
Yeah, I mean, wow. So you're.
I mean, honestly, if you want, I can just chat with your wife.
Yeah, but just in general, it's just for the conversation of if there's somebody for the podcast, I think it's good for anybody.
Well, okay, so where I would
wasn't making
start
it
at
for
the
her,
top of
right?
the pyramid, I would start with thyroid because it's not a sex hormone, but it's an overall hormone, and you know what your thyroid is right here.
Yeah.
And a lot of women don't realize, and men too, that it starts to get smaller and less functional, just like everything else. You know, aging sucks,
Of course,
right?
yeah.
So the thyroid is one of the glands that gets to be affected by aging. So, but good news is there are ways to support it. And for many, many years, doctors have prescribed levothyroxine or whatever that is, and Armour Thyroid and Nature's Thyroid, and the ones that I wouldn't recommend for me anyway, because I don't take any pharmaceuticals, are the ones that are going to make you like you're on it forever. So the ones that are not like that are Nature's Thyroid, which is the one I take, and I don't even have a very low. It's just like on the borderline of being normal to low. So that means that you need to supplement.
Got it.
Even if you're not feeling any symptoms, the symptoms you asked about, what I mentioned, low energy, hands and feet are often cold. You have lost your libido. That happens with testosterone loss as well. And weight gain. Those are the 4 main signals for low thyroid.
Okay.
And then, so now move on from there to the sex hormones, which I think are very important, which is the testosterone, estrogen, and progesterone.
Mm-hmm.
And the pregnenolone is kind of like the master, the big guy at the top. And you might not even know you have any issues with pregnenolone, but why not test it, right? And then DHEA, as I mentioned.
Sure.
So those are the major ones. But, progesterone, you take at night, 100 milligram capsule, and it helps you sleep, along with, other things that you can take,
sure,
like melatonin or whatever. But it's such an important hormone, and it's so often forgotten. So I would definitely put that on my list of, and never ever take it. Oh, let me say estrogen is kind of complicated. There's 3 estrogens. There's I won't get into all the detail, but Biest is the 2 of the most important estrogens.
Okay.
And estrone is the one that's least important and probably could be most damaging. So most women take Biest, which is the 2 most important ones, and that's estriol and estradiol. So if you take those 2 hormones and you don't take progesterone, you're doing yourself a huge damage. So tell your wife, listen to this podcast and go call Michelle up and tell her to refer you to her doctor, because I would never pretend to be a doctor.
Of course. But
I know from firsthand experience, myself and my friends, who I love, that I've helped, what's important.
Absolutely. No, listen, it's real important. I think right now it's all about education. I've talked to women, doctors, people that we talk about the perimenopause,
Mm-hmm.
and it's such an important subject. My sister just, going through it herself. She's an executive with the CW network.
Oh, yeah.
And, again, she went to some place terrible. And again, people are not in the know. And I know there's so many women that are suffering with the hormone imbalance.
You know who else? I'm sorry to interrupt you. You know who else would be good for your wife to talk to is Teresa Lawley.
Okay.
Because she's right here in Miami, right? And she had some very serious illnesses and look at her now. She really has taken care of herself.
Or I could call her. Sure, I could definitely.
Or I can even do it for you if you want me to. But
no, I know her personally.
You know her, yeah. So I would call her and say, okay, because she did the TV show, and you probably saw they did a documentary on Biohack Yourself.
Mm-hmm. Sure,
and,
very familiar.
And in that, they had many of them, people they had as guests were people that were on my podcast. So I was very curious to watch that documentary. But they had a lot of hormone doctors, endocrinologists,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
But functional medicine doctors are now becoming double certified in hormone therapy and peptides, as well as the generalist functional medicine.
Yeah, I mean, it's becoming so popular, and you think about the things that are that everybody is hot about. I mean, even I thought 2 years ago when I started taking trizipatide, people were like, what's that?
What is that?
Yeah. I go, Wegovy, Manjo. Oh, what's semaglutide? Oh, Ozempic. Oh, because they've been so branded to a name, people don't know. Right. So it's okay.
You're very fortunate, Eric, that you are in the world that you're in, because you have all the experts surrounding you, and you're going to get the best information. And you're also, and I find even with my podcast too, that I learn so much from my guests.
Absolutely.
I never thought that was going to be the best benefit, but it is a good one. You learn from those. Well, it's good that you're like a sponge, right? Yeah. You ask good questions, and you absorb the content, and then you use that for your own personal as well as for, just being very well educated in that.
Without a doubt. I mean, my father, as I said, we just lost my mom, and so I said I'd see him tomorrow, and he was in New York for for Passover with my sister.
Right.
He's like, I'm doing all right. So I said, all right, I'm going to come see you tomorrow. I haven't seen him since he got back.
Right.
And I said, you need to get on this, and so.
Is he open-minded to?
Oh, yeah. Because I had actually started him on trizipatide and Sissamorlin.
Yeah.
And then he had a friend, and she says, oh, I don't think you should take it. I'm like, please. Well, it's like, people say, I know better. I'm like, do me a favor. Are you an expert? Yeah. No. So you don't know better.
Right. Exactly.
Look at what you look. I say to people like this, if I walk in and you're the doctor and you don't look at least somewhat what I look like, then I'm going out the door.
Exactly.
And then,
remember when the doctors used to smoke Camels?
Yes, they smoke cigarettes.
Thing. I mean, that was always like a positive until, people got.
Cigarettes will kill you. Hey, we're going to take a quick break for the Eric Stoller Show on a Man on a Mission series. We're here with Michelle Hughes, a woman on a mission, an amazing amount of knowledge, and I can't wait to share more. We're going to be right back in 1 minute. This is Eric Stoller for the Eric Stoller Show and the Man on a Mission series. I'm here again with a woman on a mission, Michelle Hughes. So, Michelle, you've had some amazing guests on your show. And, one of the guests, and we can run through them, but one of the guests that was recently here that I had the opportunity to interview is Dr. Nathan Bryant. And I know you just recently did an article for Top Doctor magazine for our friends, for John and Top Doctor and Heather. They do such a great job.
Right. In
fact, they're getting my covers coming out.
Oh.
And I know we Dr. Bryant, we're making a plea here. You need to be on the cover. I know you don't want to pay the money, but I think it'll be good because people need to know we need to make you even a bigger brand because you are a star. But let's talk about nitrous oxide. There's my selfless plug, but let's talk about that.
So the thing about nitric oxide, it's a signaling molecule, just like peptides are signaling molecules.
Yes.
And a lot of people don't realize that nitric oxide does stimulate the circulation in your epithelial cells. So your heart, the channels that go to affect the number one killer in the world is heart disease.
Heart disease, sure.
So if you just I take his lozenge. That's all I take of his products. But he has a whole skincare line.
I'm using his toothpaste right now.
And he has a toothpaste. He sent me a sample of that. It's good. But I like that lozenge. Once in the morning, that's all you do. And when they do the test on you for the nitric oxide, mine is always off the charts. Like it's way over the pink.
Nice.
And it's only because I take his product.
I'm sure it helps.
N101 for your audience, and Dr. Nathan Bryan, and people can look them up on. They are widely
Yeah, I've taken them all. In fact, I have to order more. I just ran out of them. I think it's
He'll probably
amazing.
be at the show this weekend.
Good. That's right.
Yeah, I always get it from him there, and then you get a bunch
Perfect.
of samples too. Right?
Yeah, he was going to send me everything, but I did try his toothpaste,
Yeah,
and I started using that.
and he's got that new product called Beets. Beetz, which is like it's another form of nitric oxide through beets.
Yes.
Which is a way to get nitric oxide into your body, but I prefer just to use the lozenge.
Yeah, the lozenge was great, and then we had a great interview with him. So, but yeah, he was such a nice guy.
Very down to earth. Like he's so knowledgeable, and yet he can explain things to the layperson, so that they understand why everybody needs to be taking nitric oxide.
Correct, without a doubt.
It doesn't even matter if you have any heart issues. You just take it as a preventative.
And it's good. It's good for everything. It's also good, it's good for your sex drive as well.
Exactly. Well, I
blood flow.
Say that, and then I think I've talked too much about sex today.
Yeah, we're all right. We're in Hollywood in my studio over here. We got a picture of Led Zeppelin behind Barbara, for God's sakes, with his shirt off. You can see that. Yeah, you got Robert playing. We got a whole music studio over here. Who knows what goes on at night? I'm never here after 6 o'clock. You never know what's going on with crazy musicians. I'm kidding.
No.
I was saying the people when we set this up, they were all. I was telling your sister that they do Super Bowl, the Miami Heat.
Oh wow!
So this was all set up by professionals. So if anybody needs a studio when you're in Florida, Studio 111. We have a beautiful editing studio, and yeah, we do all kinds of great stuff here.
Just a small little fun story. So the house I've owned for 50 years in Tiburon, California, which is Marin.
Yeah, it's beautiful up there. Yeah, I love it.
Golden Gate. Before I bought it, nobody else had ever lived in it.
Okay.
I was the first owner, but it was rented because the builder of the house got into litigation with the neighbors about some skylights she put in. I never would have owned that house if it hadn't been for that litigation. But before I moved in, or before I bought it, Grace Slick was her tenant.
No way.
So when I owned it, my sister-in-law, who's a kind of a psychic, she didn't tell us this, but we let she and her husband, who's my brother-in-law, stay at the house while we went off on a holiday. When we came back, she was very sheepish, and she said, well, we had to do a clearing of your house because apparently Grace Slick had a lot of wild drug parties and so forth. So anyway, I always loved Jefferson Airplane. They lived in Mill Valley, which is the town.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, so that's my little Grace Slick story.
I love it. Well, my experience with that part of California is I actually went to work for Brian Tracy selling his seminars.
I told you, I love him.
And the first seminar we did was in San Francisco. We lived in a place called Foster City.
I know that.
And for like 3 months, and every week I'm in Mill Valley, I'm in Tiburon, I'm in, when you come right over the bridge,
Sausalito.
Sausalito. It was amazing.
Yeah, so Santana still lives. Well, he lives in other places, but he still has a home, I think. But he bought it. He lives in San Rafael or Fairfax, I think, or San Anselmo, which are north of me, in Marin County. But he also just bought a home in Kauai, where I've been a real estate developer for 25 years.
Wow!
So he and I keep following. And then when I was doing my podcast in a studio, it turned out that the studio like this one was the Santana studio.
Very cool.
I kept thinking, why doesn't he come in while I'm here?
Yeah, right? Exactly. That would be so cool. Wow. So share with me some of the other guests, because it sounds obviously you've been, you've got amazing people that you know.
Yeah, so you and I both talked about Michael Chan.
Yes, he's amazing.
That guy is like a whirling dervish. I don't know how he does it. He travels everywhere. He's got medical facilities, I think 26 of them now all over the world.
46.
46. Yeah. Oh, my God. A lot has happened. And he was one of my sponsors. So anyway, European Wellness, people want to look him up. He's one of the early stem cell developers.
Yeah. Well, people can't believe that he regrows hair and all the hair is
he looks
black.
Like he's 30 and he's, 60 now?
He's like early 60s. Yeah.
He's a little older than you.
Yeah, a little bit.
He looks like he's 30. I mean, his hair is fuller than a 15-year-old.
Oh, my God. He has that stem cell product he created for hair.
I know.
And it grows black hair.
I know.
That's wild.
I know.
I mean, I don't know how I look with like long, thin hair. I don't think it would work for me. Thank you.
Just don't do anything different. Just keep making it stay.
Yeah,
Don't lose it.
I'm doing my best. I use a red light helmet every day.
Oh, good. Yeah, that's another thing. The red light therapy. We didn't even talk about that. That's a hot
Yes.
new. So I've had, I've had several red light therapy people on, and the HBOT people, the hyperbaric people. So, but other than Mike, so just to finish off with Michael Chan, so he has several European spas, and you could just go there like you do, people pay millions of dollars to go to these. His is far more reasonable, and you get the same, maybe even better treatments because he's a doctor.
Yes, and he's also a research scientist. So him and his groups are always publishing new textbooks every year.
He sends me.
Yeah,
he sends me stuff all the time, and like it's amazing how prolific they are.
Yeah, in fact, I got to reach out to him because he said to me, "Can I help with the marketing?" That's a great conference, the American Academy of Stem Cells. It's a smaller group, but they have. Yeah, that's Dr. AJ Farshawn, if you know. Yeah, he used to be Michael Jackson's doctor. He's a doctor in the
Hopefully
Olympics.
not the one that gave him the.
No, not him.
That guy got incarcerated anyway.
Somebody I know said they ran into him somewhere.
Oh.
At some event, and then also they have a company that manufactures and produce their own stem cells. But he's been at it for a very long time.
So speaking of being at it a long time, so Dr. Bob Goldman, co-founder of A4M, he's been on my podcast, and I've known him for probably 25 years. I knew A4M when they were just like two guys in a garage.
Yeah.
I used to go to their conferences when I was, early on in my career in real estate development. And then my real estate career got so invasive to everything else because I was traveling and I was living in other places. So I stopped going for many years and I kind of lost contact with Bob. And then we had a mutual friend that brought us back together. And now I potentially am going to be doing something. I can't really announce it yet, but I'm very much involved with Dr. Bob's new, he sold A4M, you know that. Mm-hmm. And he's doing World Health Net and he's got the martial arts. Yeah,
I'm familiar with World Health Net, and I know Dr. Klatz. We've treated him, and he's been to some of our events. So he's actually lectured at a couple of things we've done. Yeah,
Dr. Klatz and Dr. Goldman asked me early on if I would joint venture with them on a real estate deal.
Nice.
They wanted to do a medical spa, probably internationally. Mm-hmm. And so I said, hey guys, you know what? If you can come up with the money, cash is king. If you can come up with the capital, I'm definitely interested because I'm so passionate about wellness. And they never could come back with the money at that time. Now, this was, so many years. Today, they probably raise it with a blink of an eye.
No, it would be easy. I mean, actually, it's funny you say real estate. That's the other thing. I've sold probably $300+ million of new construction projects. Yeah, using seminars. Yeah, I have a real estate office right down the street here. In fact, I'm about to... The Mondrian property is over in Hallandale. I was going to bring it to Disrupt so we can sell some doctors some units over the weekend.
Well, my real estate career as a developer,
I love real estate.
25. Yeah, me too. It's 25 years and more, a little more. But we had a big 7,000 acre development on Kauai.
Wow.
So I got to live in Kauai with the opportunity to be where people go to vacation, but I was there to work. But it became my second home. I had 6 homes there that, I either built or developed in some way. And then I also developed in Aspen. So I have 2 of the best resort locations. And that was deliberate. If people say, oh, what a lucky accident. No, it wasn't an accident. I knew that those were places that where real estate would have.
Would go up in value, destination.
Why now? It's got more billionaires with Zuckerberg and a few more of the high tech guys.
Yeah, sure.
Over there. And then Aspen, you don't even need to. All you need to do is say Aspen, and people right away know.
Of course.
So I had some very good, track record in both of those places. That 7,000 acre parcel sold for the highest number of dollar value of any real estate in the history of Hawaii at that time. It was, 15 years ago. But so anyway, so I love real estate. I'm a real estate junkie.
Yeah.
It sounds like we have another commonality.
Absolutely. I have this podcast studio. We have a real estate office. and we have the medical office where I have a lot of equipment and we promote the medical.
So can Barbara and I come to your medical office and use your equipment? Is it open to the public or is it just for your?
Well, it's open to the public, but it usually depends on the days. But sure,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Well, because I'm going to be here all next week, so.
Yeah, we could set something up for sure, without a doubt.
Barbara?
We have a biohacking center.
It's not nearly as passionate as me about wellness, but I have to.
I can tell. It's all right.
I try to bring her in.
What's that?
I said I'm very impressed.
Are you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, your sister, she's a walking encyclopedia.
Here, this is great.
Well, she and I, we're very, very close, and we've been.
That's great.
We have 5 kids in our family, and we're the only 2 left. 2 brothers died within a month of each other last.
Oh, I'm
A
sorry.
year ago, probably a year. Yeah. So we're like the 2. We're really, really close because we know we're the last of the Mulligans here of the family. But when we were kids, because she's a little older than me. We were kids. We fought like cats and dogs, and my mother used to say, "I don't know why is it that you 2 don't get along." Remember, Mom used to say that. But
Why was it?
well,
You were the oldest?
I was the little bratty sister, and I used to go take her clothes from her closet.
And she was the beauty queen.
My older sister,
That's right.
our older sister was also Miss Massachusetts and went to Miss America.
No way.
So I have
Wow.
2 sisters. I'm the ugly duckling.
I'm sure. I doubt that. So,
I never was interested in that side, but my dad said, "You're the brains of the family." I was good enough for me.
now, did you go to the pageants? Did you get to go firsthand, or?
In Miss Massachusetts, but I was only 5 years old or something, Barbara, 8 years old. I can't remember, but I know I was young, but I remember being so impressed.
15.
Barbara's like,
I was so proud of myself. But the other one, I didn't. She was much older, and I didn't go to hers. But Barbara, I didn't go to the one in Miami where she got recruited by her soon-to-be husband. I wasn't here.
We got to do a whole podcast with Barbara. She's got great stories.
She does.
Yeah, for sure. I'd love to do an interview.
She's quite a girl.
Absolutely. Well, it seems like you guys got a great relationship, and it's always wonderful
what?
that siblings, stay together.
Eric, another thing, I'm sorry to interrupt.
No,
It's
of
really
course.
important. You just touched on something that's really important. That's family.
Yes.
And, for me, just a little philosophy for a moment, but for me, love is everything. And I lost my husband, who I met at 14. And, we were together for a lot of years, and he unfortunately died very young. He was the captain of the Harvard football team, and he was recruited to the NFL. He didn't go, thank God. He went to law school instead. But anyway, so I believe in love, and relationships. And I think it's a big part of aging and longevity is, they talk about the blue zones. A lot of these people, the fifth wheel of the aging complex is commitment to community or loving connections, let's say. I don't think anybody ever wants to get old and be lonely.
No, I don't think so. I think a lot of people, and I felt something, you get angry, you get bitter. Maybe it's a relationship.
Like losing his wife. There's got to be an adjustment period. You've been with somebody for that many years, and, suddenly they're not there anymore.
They're not there.
And now you're older. It's, you're in your golden years, so to speak, and you're probably not going to meet and remarry at that. Maybe you would.
You want more companionship. I know in the case of my father, because my mother had been in a home, he was having his own life and he had a life with her. But
That's true.
But even still, they were together since they were same thing. They were kids. Both grandparents were friends since they were little.
Yeah.
So they were together like you since they were teenagers.
Yeah.
So regardless, he was there every day for her.
I just feel that it's not given loving relationships and family connections and the support part of that are not given enough attention. Everybody talks about nutrition, sleep, stress, the other anchors of anti-aging, but they don't often put that other fifth wheel in, which is the loving, finding love, having love in your life.
I think it's so critical because I was talking to a friend yesterday and, and about relationships and a relationship with somebody that They didn't, however they grew up, they didn't, it's how you've grown up. Say, hey, they didn't know what a loving relationship is like.
True.
So if you've never seen it, I always saw my parents together. I had
Yeah.
friends, a lot of them, their parents not growing up, but down here. But most of my friends, especially in New York, people all stayed together. Boston,
Yeah, we came
less transient,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my mother and father, how many years were they married? 50,
60.
60 years.
Yeah.
And only death, separated. They never, my father died young and my mother's kept on for she lived to 95 almost.
God bless her.
Yeah.
But that's the thing about the philosophy of how people look at relationships. I know lots of people that are in their 20s, 30s that are like, here, oh, yeah, you see this girl? You see her?
The swipe.
No, I'm even talking beyond that. Like, hey, well, I can go out with her, but it's $300. And and these girls are going out on a date, but it's really not that, if you know what I mean.
I totally
or it's like you said, social media. We live in this I talk about this transactional versus relationship, right?
So important to talk about that.
Because I even look at it in business, right? Okay, we're even like we make sales for our events. Well, my key guy works with me. He goes, okay, I got the agreement ready, and I don't know if I should send that out. And because he's used to doing, hey, pay me right now this second. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, listen, you sent the guy an agreement. You then send him an invoice. You send it in a doc. You say, well, I don't know, because this guy. Send them because we're a professional company. Because from A to Z, when I look like that, do I want to look like that, or do I want to look like him, who's very like loosey goosey?
Exactly.
So when I'm loosey goosey, guess what happens? I wind up losing.
Right, of course.
So I think the family structure, and that has a lot part to do with it, because you become less like, hey, I have a family. I have kids to be responsible for. I think about even my own relation when I'm like over here, like look at me, and it's like, and I'm like, all right, let me be mindful of my spouse, because I think a lot of people just aren't aware.
There's a lot of emotional avoidance in the world. People are, and they're all stuck on their phones or their social media thing, and they just lose the whole connectivity issue of how important it is to truly care about another human being.
Yes.
And be unconditionally accepting and loving, because the too much intolerance in the world is so divisive in the world today. And look at all the people that don't even talk to their family members because they believe in the other side of politics. So,
well, that's craziness. And whether you look, I try to be objective. So when I looked at like elections, say, okay, here's the best case scenario. Here's the worst case scenario. Somewhere in between. And it was almost like this, in my opinion, and we're getting into politics for what it was, on either side, it was a crapshoot.
Right.
You weren't winning either way. So what the American people got? It shows us, come on, can we do it? As my daughter said, my daughter just became an attorney, and our property manager got upset and locked my gate so I couldn't get in. And she's like, I go, right, you can send us a fine. You can't do things legal to us. So instead of filing charges, my daughter said to her, she's 26, she says, next time, just try to do better.
Oh, that's cool.
Just do better.
Wow.
Right? That's it.
She obviously, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Right.
She learned from her dad.
But I have that Brooklyn temper that you lose it. And because, again, when you think about the family unit and you think about how I have friends that are single and how completely selfish they act versus when you have to be selfish. And I've been called out many times of being selfish because I wasn't thinking about the family. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, listen, that's who's there for you.
You're still married and you have kids, so that's a big plus for you.
I've been with my wife 33 years.
Oh, there you go. That says it all.
Through thick and thin.
I mean, I was just going to say, even my husband and I mean, we were 40 plus years, but we, we had our issues too. I mean, how can you live with another human being without having...
For that many years?
For that many years.
Hello.
Stay together, so... Well, you asked about other guests. I want to tell you that Del Bigtree is coming on my podcast.
Okay, nice.
And he's going to be on the cover of Top Doctor next month, June. I think it is. So Del Vigtry, you know who he is,
Sure.
and Robert F. Kennedy, was his right hand person during the campaign when he was running. But now he's got his own production company. He's just done a award winning documentary, and he's traveling all over. And so,
Amazing.
So he's a good guy. Another one is Ed Clay, who I mentioned to you, is the MMA former champion. He and Scotty Nelson, I think it's Nelson, they own the TAM Center in Tijuana. That's the one that Joe Rogan,
Oh, cool.
promotes on his podcast.
Nice.
And they're making that into the #1 cancer center in Mexico. But in the meantime, they have every week about 50 people come into their stem cell clinic.
Amazing.
And they're doing some pretty cool things. That's where I was telling you I did the NAD IV. So Ed's he's gonna be on my podcast next week, and I'll send you the link to that. But he's a pretty cool guy.
That's awesome. Oh, that's great.
Yeah, a lot of these people, by the way, have really big backstories. I mean, when I say that, they were into drugs, they were into alcohol, they were into gambling, they were in, and they
Addiction is so powerful.
And they've turned their lives around through wellness, through health. So
I relate.
That's why
100%.
you're doing what you do with your podcast, what I do with mine.
Yeah.
We're doing so much good because we're spreading the word that helps people to feel that I'm not alone in this world.
Well, right, because
there are other people that have struggled too, and they've overcome those struggles, and that's a big one. And if you can feel a sense of connectivity to another human being because they shared some of the challenges that you had, and they've overcome them. Now it's like, okay, it's my turn. I better learn from them.
That's right. That's right. Well, isn't it like what they do at Alcoholics Anonymous, ideally, but it doesn't always work because you don't want to, because those learned behaviors aren't like after the thing, I know people would do that and they're back to the same behaviors versus we're after our little get together and we're out and like, hey, let's go have a healthy meal and let's look at, and because I really believe in this space, working with people like Les Brown, he talks a lot about it's about collaboration.
Oh my gosh.
And him and I, in
Has
fact,
he been on your podcast?
podcast. I produced his seminars. I was the president.
Brown. I thought you said. I heard you say Brian Tracy, but
No, both of them. I work for both of them. They're both personal friends of mine.
Amazing.
Yeah, in my early career, I promoted Brian's seminars in like 35 different cities and built a company.
Had an amazing track record. Wow.
And then I was the president of Les Brown Speaking Institute. Some guy with some
people. Backstory.
Of course,
wow.
I know it well. Him and I have been. In fact, I haven't spoken to him in a minute. He called me
on my podcast. Can you set that up?
I'll do it. See what I can.
I would love that if you can introduce us.
$5,000, please.
We don't pay anybody.
I know.
But anyway, so let me just finish telling you. So
sure.
So many people that I want you to know about because they might be people you want on your podcast.
I love it. I love it.
So, do you know Jim Lavelle?
Of course, I know Jim Lavelle. He's spoken at events with us because I also work with Joe Krieger, who owns Boston BioLife. I'm sure you know Joe. And I'm sure you know Diana Kelly.
I don't know Diana Kelly.
What? You don't know Diana? Oh, you meet her this weekend. She's coming from LA tonight.
Oh, okay.
So Diana does publicity and strategy with us, and she's just a connector. She's at every event. She's also connected with the Grammys and other music, and she gets Fiona Ma from she brings her down. So she's done a lot. She's also, I met her through John, through Top Doctor. I helped John when he first opened too. We started helping him buy the clinics because of my background in real estate.
Right.
And then he started selling equipment. So I helped running a sales team for him.
Mm-hmm.
I've, having the opportunity to work with people like Brian Tracy and Les Brown.
Mm-hmm.
So our programs are designed, it's called the Man on a Mission, the Science and Business of Wellness.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm teaching people. This is what I really want to share with you.
Podcast.
I'd love to be on it.
Reciprocal. I do this a lot with Chris Burris from and Al Pernia. Do you know Al Pernia from?
No, I've heard a lot of. I've heard a lot about
him. Sponsor, and we're going to be together in Dallas next.
Yeah, well, my event actually is Friday the 24th that I'm doing here. Yeah, but he's going to be here. We're going to fly to Dallas.
Oh, okay.
So I've done.
It's called Changing Life Destiny, and they do everybody that you ask. If you say, "What's the very best conference you've ever been to, they always say, without fail, changing life destiny. And it's because Al does a little more boutique. It's different than A4M. A4M is like a factory of like going to Disneyland. But they do a black tie. They do an investors seminar where people who are trying to raise money can come in and make a pitch.
Nice.
But anyway, so John told me, I didn't even know it, but he said he's one of their.
Yeah, he's a sponsor there, and so some of the stuff that we're doing with our events, like I told you, which is working people on their storytelling.
Yeah.
But the science and business of wellness is I have many people that don't have the education.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm standing at the stem cell conference as a patient, not as a doctor, just somebody standing there as a fly on the wall, and you have no idea what stem cells are, what's my value proposition, not only to the medical community, but to the doctors. So we're using some software, this Heads Up, which is at the good meet event, Heads Up Health.
Oh.
So use it as a forward-facing software to take the AI along with patient tracking. But what they really want is more practitioners. So my ecosystem of coaching, training, and helping people is designed to help the practitioners become better at what they do.
Yeah.
But how about if I can take this whole core of a company, HR directors, but the individuals, the CEOs, the people that need the help, the manager that's kid is sick, but they don't know where to take them. And now you can create this great community. So one of my proposals out today is to the Miami Dolphins to do the biggest wellness event in the world.
Well, her
So that's kind of my
participant with the Dolphins, wasn't he the
No,
her?
we were Dolphin fans, but we were friends. Actually, Shula's were.
The Shulas were friends of yours?
They're
Of
friends.
course. Why would I know she was going to say that?
Yeah.
Because you said he. Yeah.
Barbara's very careful not to name drop.
I understand. Well, but I know what you mean. We did a lot of events at the stadium for years, like old Champion Mindset Series. That's my company.
Yeah, I know. I love that name.
Yeah.
So Eric Verdon, Dr. Eric Verdon has been on. He's the CEO of the Buck Center, which is probably it is the leading research center in the world, probably, but definitely in the U.S.
Wow.
And they're right near me in Novato, California. And so Dr. Eric Verdon, Dr. Dale Bredesen, who is the Alzheimer's expert.
Okay.
He wrote the book Ending Alzheimer's. Dane Goodenow, who runs Prodrome Sciences. He's the one that's doing all the work with, brain health, but other health as well. But he's the founder of the plasmalogens, which are treatment. You need to know about plasmalogens. I'll tell you.
Okay, sure.
But anyway, plasmalogens, so Prodrome Sciences is in Temecula and California. And so he's well known in the brain health.
Amazing.
He'd be good on your podcast.
Okay.
Catherine Arneson from Energy Bits. She's the.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of Energy Bits. I met her once before.
Actually, she just told me today she's going to be a sponsor of Changing Life Destiny. So
Good for her.
So we'll see her there.
Nice.
Let's see who. Oh, Patrick Porter, the Brain Tap.
I know Patrick very well. He's been on one of the first events that John and I did at the Four Seasons. Yeah, he's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, Brain Tap is such a lifesaver for so many people.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's such amazing. In fact, I've interviewed him on my podcast. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while no, he was on mine twice. He just came on again last year, but he was on early on.
Yeah, we were doing some virtual stuff because I had created a platform that I'm starting up again, which we coached and trained people, and then we brought them onto our other clients' platforms, and just, I'm all about creating ecosystems. Like, we're working with different groups.
Karan Krishnan, who's he's the microbiome founder, Microbiome Labs. He was the founder. So that's another topic that has become the big.
Huge. Yes, for sure. Yeah, we can go on for days. We should just do a whole series.
I've had a whole series on the microbiome. So
yeah.
I've had a lot of the top people, but definitely Karan is one, and there was Harold Magarinas or something. He's a doctor in LA, San Diego, but he used to be a dentist, and then he turned into functional, and he's now the microbiome expert. So one of them.
Sure.
And then what's his name? Pendulum Sciences. Do you know Pendulum? They're the company that, what's her name? The actress, the black actress that was in the wrestling. the wrestling movie. She's their spokesperson.
It's not Halle Berry, is
Yeah,
it?
Halle Berry.
Yeah, they had her at Eudaimonia, right? I think she was promoting it there. So
Yeah.
that was that brand that she
Yeah.
was promoting.
Yeah, but this is Pendulum, which,
Pendulum,
which
that
is
was-
Akkermansia. The Akkermansia, they're the leader in the development of Akkermansia, which is probably one of the most important supplements you can take for your gut.
Wow.
So I can
Who knew?
I can
Who knew?
introduce you to. Well, I was telling my sister, the 88% of your immune system is in your gut.
Yes.
So if your gut isn't healthy, you're not going to be healthy.
That's right.
gut's hungry.
Well, we're going to go get lunch.
My gut is saying it's time to eat.
Yeah, we'll go get some.
Yeah,
lunch.
we'll be doing a
So
couple of
anyway,
these.
if you want to end, we can end anytime
No,
you like.
that's
But
fine.
it's been lovely to share a lot of information with you.
So let's do this. Let's do as a wrap up. So I want you and it's such a pleasure really to get to know you and spend this time. And we could probably do a couple of hours,
Yeah.
But
Barbara.
we got to feed Barbara. All right. So,
exactly.
and she's your driver too.
That's
So,
exactly
you got to take care of. That's right.
My host.
So I want you to share with us because I definitely, you're so knowledgeable and it's such a gift of everything that you like, I mean, you're like next level.
I think I'm looking in the mirror.
Right, next level.
Talk to you.
Yeah, and so what you're telling me is you're like, I love to be around people who know more.
Yeah.
As Groucho Marx says, if you're the smartest person in the room, you need a new room.
You need a new room.
So as the son of educators, always taught, get in a new room.
Well, also you've been around Les Brown and Brian Tracy, so you have a background in spirituality in business.
Yes.
Which I always said when I was in the corporate world, I always said, if you can find people with a value system that is, about what we talked about earlier, about self-love, about self-confidence, about loving others.
Yes.
All the things that those guys teach.
But it ain't easy.
No, I know. Believe me, I know that. Not myself. I feel like I'm very lucky, but you meet a lot of people that are not nearly as lucky, and you really want to help. You really want to show them the way.
But nobody can see the way unless they're willing to be self-aware. Desire, and I see behaviors, and I just say okay. And again, I could be wrong, but it's like I had this conversation with my father about weight loss. Every time I'm trying to lose weight, my uncle's to my cousin, he's same age as me. He's like, talk to your cousin. I go, he's not going to listen to me.
Yeah,
he's on. I'm gonna get my hair dyed.
Yeah.
And that's cool.
Yeah.
And he'll do it his way. And you know what the bottom line is? You got to be sick and tired of feeling sick. And if you're okay that way.
Yeah. The older people get, the harder it is for them to change.
Always.
It's kind of the,
Yeah.
They get set in their ways and they're comfortable and they don't want to they don't want to take any new risks. And, there's all kinds of reasons, but I hope you and I, being the peptide king and queen, will be asking questions and looking for answers till the day we say goodbye.
That's right. That's right. Because the fact of the matter is that you always want to be a little curious.
Exactly.
And the world is constantly changing and innovating. And we live in an amazing time of the things that are. Who would have known, like literally, I wrote on my page, I can't tell you how many times about the weight loss. And I've done it 5 times, 6 times in my life naturally. I couldn't do it. And somebody handed me this thing and I stuck it in my refrigerator and left it there because I was not ready. As soon as I did it and the switch turned, this is what people don't realize, there is a psychotropic, I don't know what you want to call it, response to that shuts these things down. And I know it shuts off your stomach and things like that.
For sure.
But what it did for me, I maybe only lost a few pounds because I'll show you pictures where it was on the way.
Yeah.
And you go, really? Yeah, but mentally I shifted. And this is where people don't get it. And that's what we teach in our programs too is you got to make a mental shift because when you make that, there's never going back for me. There are days where you're like, oh my God, I'm slipping away. I ate a couple of donuts. No, you can always buy a day or two, but don't let a month, don't let 2 months go by. I'm going to tell you something, and I'm going to let you get the final word. So I had a heart attack, lost all this weight, got in great shape, went to go back work with the trainer. I was in such bad shape that I couldn't even do a damn sit-up. I said, forget it. We can't even do this. And I cut it out. That was 2 years. You saw the pictures of it.
Mm-hmm.
I finally made that shift.
Mm-hmm.
And it's when I took that shot after like a couple of weeks and I lost a few pounds and that was it. And I haven't stopped since.
Mm-hmm.
So like, what is that? And that thing, like you at 26, finding out what was you wanted to heal
There's
yourself.
something called the readiness principle. I don't know if you've ever can't come across that with your two experts in psychology and spirituality. But the readiness principle is basically when, you are what you think.
Yes.
You are what you eat, but you are what you think.
Amen.
So if you think negative, or you think I can't do something, or you think, all the bad things,
You're right.
you're not going to ever be able to, your brain, has all that desire. And people don't realize that the gut and brain connection. So if your gut is screwed up, your brain's going to get screwed up, and then you're going to have all these other mental side effects. So
That's right.
So you had to be ready. You had to want it badly enough and know that your life was going to be much better by taking those steps. And then all the other fears, and then a lot of it is fear.
It's all fear.
Yeah.
What does it say? What does fear stand
Stress
for?
and fear, right?
Right?
Yeah.
False evidence appearing real.
Exactly. I love that.
And I love people. Oh no! I had a guy. One of my a client. He wanted to lose all the weight, so I said, "Here." I gave him Simorelin, and I maybe even saying you're right. I gave it to him the Simorelin, and he's like, "Oh no, I don't want to take injections." Okay, take it back. He go, "How did you?" So I said, "You got to do A, B, and C. I don't want to spend the money." Finally, he broke down. 3 weeks later, he was like, he goes, "Thank you." I go, "Right. So you had to pay a little money
Right.
that you were going to spend anyway to get to the result, and now you're getting to look what you want to look like."
Invested in yourself. Yeah.
I mean, come on. Nothing is to do with it's ongoing. So, any last words you want to share with our audience or with this podcast today before we close out?
Earlier, I am a woman on a mission, and I feel very fortunate that in many ways, what happened in 2008, which caused the real estate world to implode.
Yes, it did. I remember that time.
They always say in Chinese, crisis and opportunity are synonymous.
Yes.
And so, at that time, I remember thinking, okay, I have to downsize in order to get through all this. And I would never, ever allow myself to have any financial setbacks like foreclosure, like many real estate developers, as you well know.
Yeah, it was a tough time.
It was really tough.
Very tough, I know.
So I hung on for 4 years until 2012 and kept all my properties. But then I said, no, I got to do something. So being a risk taker and an entrepreneur, I knew that it was time to downsize. And I got out of everything with my head held high. And, fortunately, I had such beautiful properties that even in bad times, they sold.
Right.
They didn't sell at what they should have sold at.
Right, but you
sold.
sold.
So I was able to keep my myself solvent and exactly learned a huge lesson about debt.
Yeah.
And boy, if I ever go full time back into real estate, it's going to be with a lot of cash.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be in. I knew every single bank personally. I would never ever let them down. So anyway, long story about that is that it led me to say, oh, okay, what am I going to do now? And I talked to one of my girlfriends and she said, well, why don't you're now single. She said, you're dating for the first time in your life. Why don't you do it on online dating? I said, are you kidding me? That would be like one show.
Right.
That's interesting as paint drying. So she said, well, what are you passionate about? I said, well, that's the easiest question anyone's ever asked me. I said, it's about what I've always had an avocation in, which is wellness. So that's how it all began. It was, one door closes and 5 more open.
Absolutely. As
and
I've
I'm
always
just really
happened.
lucky that I, when I am passionate about something, I go deep, and just like you are. You want to know as much as you can. You're very curious. And you talk to a lot of people, you learn a lot, and you read a lot. I mean, I listen to a lot of other people's podcasts, and I spend a lot of time just filling my cauldron with information.
Yes, which is important.
This is what I would say to people, your audience, is just never, ever give up. Because if you give up, basically you've signed off and early and before your real time to sign off.
That's right.
And now your life doesn't have the purpose. And that's why that pain to purpose mantra is so important to me. So woman on a mission I love that. I think I might start using that if you don't mind. I love that.
We just charge a royalty fee, no problem.
Right, that's
give her
right.
the contract, Elsie. We know everybody here wants to be on the mission.
Yeah.
I got pets, I got kids, I've got milkmen, I got mailmen. I'm kidding. Listen,
That's
every
actually a good sign, Eric. That means that there are many people who are, passionate about doing something with their lives.
well, right. See, Man on a Mission is not really about me. It's just like Grant Cardone started 10X. It's not really about him.
Right.
Man on a Mission is really about, and people, oh, you're saying, man, yes, we're all on a mission. What's your mission?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Being a contagious connector.
Right. And I used all my biohacking peptide. Listen, if I didn't do all that, you think I would have got on stage in time? I've done 10,000 speeches in front of people. I have no problem getting in front of a group. But do you think I would have the confidence to sing and act like that? And I showed it at the
You do have a good voice, by the way. I heard you earlier.
Thank you. Thank
Really
you.
impressed.
But as a kid, I sang. My sister's has an amazing voice. But I took over a year. I've been taking a year with a professional voice coach.
Oh, good for you.
And then I invested in this studio.
Oh, that's good.
So I share with people, if you're going to do something, do it pro level if you can,
Yeah.
right? Like my fear is I'd love to do podcasting full time.
Yeah.
So I said, but I run my event business because it allows me to utilize that strategy until I'm not Joe Rogan. Who knows? I need to be Eric Stoller. I need to be Joe.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean.
No, I would totally know it.
You know.
I watch Joe Rogan all the time. I think he's very cool, but I'm not Joe Rogan. And I mean, I could be the Joe Rogan if I wanted to try to push that far. Maybe that would be a mission, a goal.
Yeah.
Be the female Joe Rogan.
Well, I guess the question is for you is your own brand, like, your vision of what like when you're looking at you, like what is it that that turns you on the most? I mean, there's so many things. Is it impacting women, which is huge?
Mm-hmm.
I know for me, it's just like even with men or women with the weight loss, it's not even that. It's just a mental thing. I like getting in. I have a gym membership where I get 5 membership I bought. And I gave him a membership. He lives a little far. Mm-hmm. And a couple of my friends, they took him. They're not even working out at the same gym. So I have to make. And then a couple times a month, they have an open house at the place. And I have one membership holding out for my wife.
Yeah.
And I said, just go there.
Yeah.
And I can't get her over. Even I have personal training sessions. I said, you're going to call the head trainer. She's going to work out for you.
We're going to turn your wife around.
Yeah. Now, by the way.
It is hormones. I can tell you. It is hormones.
You think?
It's her attitude and her belief systems all get tainted by the loss of estrogen.
Oh my God, yeah. But I got the cleanest house in all of Aventura.
Well, yeah, so people, she has a fetish, right? Well, at any rate, I loved being with you, Eric.
Such a pleasure, Michelle.
It really is. And I think we'll have a lot to talk about in the future and share in the future. This is another part of the journey, is connecting with people of like mind.
That's right.
Being aligned with others and being able to share and help each other. So I look forward to that.
Absolutely. And here we are, closing out. Eric Stoller, Man on a Mission with Woman on a Mission, Michelle Hughes. The podcast, again, is
Ageless and Timeless.
So make sure that you listen in. Watch this interview. It's going to be up on YouTube very soon. Right, LZ? And this is Eric Stoller once again thanking Michelle and her beautiful sister Barbara, who endured an hour and change of this. And now we're going to take her to lunch.
An hour, I think.
I always say, oh my God, how long you keep me waiting? Look, it was so intriguing. You stayed even more than an hour. How do you like that?
I think it's been 2.
2 hours. Wow.
Hey.
Time goes by fast.
You ever go to a speaker convention?
Yeah.
Nobody can get a word in edgewise. There you go. Hey, Eric Stoller once again saying for Man on a Mission, for the Eric Stoller Show at Studio 111. We'll see you real soon with more compelling interviews.